Hello, this is Erica Qualey, and today we'll be making these gingerbread house lanterns. You will need to print out the gingerbread house template. You'll need a battery-operated candle, scissors, an X-Acto knife, coloring tools, a glue stick, ruler, and a butter knife. To begin this project, you will need to print out the PDF file. Choose a heavyweight paper, such as cardstock. I've chosen to use a brown paper bag cut down to an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I'm going to color my project using these paint markers. Colored pencils, gel pens, and crayons are also great choices. This project is much easier to color before it's cut out, so I'm going to go ahead and color mine, and I'll be back to show you the next step. Here we have my gingerbread house completely colored, and my next step is going to be to cut this project out. You have a couple of choices here. I have designed this house so that you can have a closed bottom. So if you just want to have it just as a plain decoration to sit on a shelf or whatnot, you can go ahead and close that that bottom flap up, and that will help keep it really rigid and sturdy. However, I would like this house for me to be a little lantern, have a little tea light, battery operated tea light inside. So I'm actually gonna, when I cut this out, I'm gonna cut along this bottom line and cut all these little flaps off. So I'm gonna cut straight across here. And that's gonna leave it so I have an open bottom. Otherwise, when you're cutting out this, you're gonna just cut around the exterior of the house, all the way around. You're not gonna cut on any of these interior lines. Those lines are all for folding. So the only exception to that is from these peak of the roof, you want to cut all the way down to the side of the building. And then your other choice that you have here is that I went ahead and decorated these little side flaps because I want to have my side flaps hang over the outside. But if you want to have the outside of your house, that gable end of the outside of your house be plain, you can skip coloring those, and when we glue this together, we can glue these flaps on the inside. But for me, I wanted to have that decoration come around the outside of that house. So when I cut this out, I'm actually going to cut around these little loops and not along the straight line. I've got a little piece of cardboard here because I don't want to use an X-Acto knife on my table. And you can also use scissors for cutting out the outside. So I'm going to come in here, and it works really well for a lot of this straight edges to use a ruler, but for in here, I'm going to just come in here and cut around all of my little loops. And I think that scissors could also be pretty effective for this too. Now, you notice I'm coming right in here to this edge. I'm going to cut right along here. Right along that, and I'm going to cut right along this line. And I'm doing that again, just to reiterate, I'm doing that because I want these little decorations to be on the outside edge of my building. If you want to hide those decorations, you can cut right along this straight line, and then we'll glue that on the inside edge of the building. Alright, so now I have all my little edges cut. I'm going to cut right along here. You can see how I've cut and left that piece back, and now I just have just the decorative edges to fold over. On both of them. Now I'm going to switch over and use some scissors just to make it a little bit easier. And again, I want the bottom of my house to be open, so I'm going to cut right across that bottom line. So now I have the complete shape cut out. Forgot one little spot here. we have it. So my whole outline of my house is cut out. And at this point in time, I could assemble my house if I wanted to, but I want to take one more step to making this little gingerbread house extra special. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all these windows, and then I'm going to use a translucent paper to put into there. You can use tissue paper, or you could use tracing paper. Both would work absolutely fine. I'm going to use something called kite paper, which is basically like a waxed tissue paper that comes in lots of colors. But any kind of translucent paper would really work great in this scenario. And you really need to use an X-Acto knife for this step. If you're a kid, you should check with your dad or your mom or your guardian, whoever you're with, and make sure that it's okay for you to use an X-Acto knife, or maybe just get some help from them to cut these out. But I want to cut all of these out, and I have a little window on my door, and I also have a little window up here in the peak of my gable end here at the front of my thing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of those out and get ready for my putting in my colored papers. These little pieces in here are super delicate, and one thing I want to let you guys know is that if something happens and you cut through or something, one of these window dividers, don't worry about it. Just try to keep it intact as best you can. We are going to glue a piece behind this, and you can glue that right to that back piece and fix it. So don't get upset, don't worry if you have a slip up with your knife or paper rips or whatnot, because that kind of stuff always happens, and we'll just glue it right back together and get it all fixed up when we add that colored paper behind. There, so all of my windows are cut out now, and I am going to go collect my colors that I'm going to put in my windows. For my next step, I am going to be putting my translucent paper into my windows that I've cut out. I have some kite paper here, just some translucent paper. You could certainly use tracing paper, a piece of vellum, tissue paper could work. I have white here, but you could use any color you wanted. Be creative with it. You could do windows different colors, however you'd like to do it. But to start this next process, I'm actually going to turn this piece upside down, and I'm going to glue pieces of this paper over the back of the window. So I'm going to cut these pieces down to the right to a smaller size, so they just kind of fit right over the area of the window. Get my glue stick out here, and I'm going to put some glue around the edge of the window. And this is going to be on the inside, and no, it's going to be, no one's going to be touching it or anything like that. So just put enough glue down there to get it stuck all the way around, and you don't need to worry about gluing the middle pieces or whatnot. That being said, if you did glue over, not glue over, if you happen to have cut a piece of your window dividers up, stick a little bit of glue on them, and then right when you are gluing around here, put a little glue on those dividers, and when you push this paper down, you can go ahead and push that down and glue it right to this paper, and that will keep it nice and sealed for you. And I'm going to let the glue dry and come back and show you how to score your edges. The next step, we are going to need our ruler and a butter knife. And what we're going to do is score our fold lines. And this step honestly is really optional, but what it does is it gives you nice crisp lines, and it makes it a little bit easier to put the building together. So what you need to do is just have a straight edge. And I actually use the back side of my knife just because there are a little bit of teeth, really small, but there's enough that it would kind of could rip my paper. So I use the back side of my butter knife. I put it upside down, and I line my ruler up with the line drawn on the template. I push down pretty hard, and I just do a couple of swipes. And that is enough just to score my fold line, so that when I come to make that fold, I'm going to have a really nice crisp straight line. So my last two places I want to do is right along the roof line, these little folds, and then we'll start assembling our house. Okay. Now, ready for assembling. To assemble our house, all we'll need is just a basic glue stick, nothing fancy. And before I start gluing anything, I am going to pre-fold all of my edges. So I scored all these edges, so it should be very easy to go ahead and make these really straight folds here. I'm just folding them over and I'm making them nice and crisp folds. I'm going to fold these little roof sides over too. Everything that needs to be folded, I'm going to fold. And run your fingers right along them to make a nice, crisp, definite folds too. All right, so I have all of my edges folded. So my first step, I am going to glue the house body together. So the only thing I need to apply glue to is just this one little tab right here. So I'm gonna put a generous amount of glue right along that tab there. And then I'm gonna bring it around and I'm gonna line up. I have my fold right on that line there. I'm going to line that right up, and it's pretty important to try your best to line up the bottom of the house so it's nice and flat. So you want to have a continuous lined edge all the way around your house. And you just really want to push that down and get a nice good seal there. There we go, and now we have our box of a house, and all we have to do is close the lid up for our roof and we'll be all set. So I'm going to just do one side at a time. So I'm going to do, it really doesn't matter which side you do, but I'm going to start out with this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the little circle tabs, and I'm going to glue my tabs onto the outside of my roof to make a little decoration on the outside. If you chose to cut a straight line and not decorate these, then you would actually glue them on the inside and have a plain front. So you can do it either way. You have the choice to have the decorations on the outside or glue it on the inside for a plain gable end. As I kind of push over this a little bit. And if you get glue on this roof part, that doesn't matter at all, because that's going to end up not touching anything, and it's not going to affect anything if you get a little glue over the edge there. Not a problem at all. All right, so I've got those all glued. Now I'm going to fold it over, and this is a little bit of a tricky part. And if you have a heavier weight paper than this, it'll be a little bit easier for you. But I'm just going to fold this roof back out of the way, and then I'm going to bring this up to the peak, and I'm going to try to line up the edge of this fold with the edge of my paper here of my roof. And I'm just going to use my 2 fingers in here and push that glue seal down. I'm going to come onto this other side and do the same thing. Line it up the best you can and glue that right down. There, and I have the first side of my house all attached. Now I'm going to come and apply glue to this side. Now this side of the roof is a little bit different because we have the inside of the tabs that I'm gluing on the inside of, but this I want to tuck under and attach along this. So I'm actually putting glue on the inside here, but then when it comes to this tab, I'm going to put glue on the outside. So it's a little bit of a tricky spot. All right, and then I'm I'm gonna actually glue this tab first. So I'm gonna go ahead up and glue that, and I'm just gonna pinch it together. Try to line it up best you can. And then I haven't glued my bottom together, so I can reach up in here. For those of you who have glued your bottom together, you're gonna have to just try to pinch those sides together, kind of like this, and get that attached the best you can. But if you left your bottom open, then you'll be able to come in here and just push those little decorations down. Flip over and do this side. There you have it.